We have hit 50,000 subscribers. We are overwhelmed. We are thrilled with how many of you have joined us on this journey. I don't think Dan or I ever thought that it would grow this quickly. I mean, we started the channel less than 6 months ago. So to think about the fact that we're already at, 54,000 subscribers is like, I don't know. I feel overwhelmed by it. How do you feel, Dan?
I don't pay attention. You told me.
When we first started and we were gaining subscribers, I think it was only like 2,000 or something like that. I was literally sending Dan texts that was just numbers.
It was on the way to 1,000 in like the first 2 weeks, and you would just send me 550 with no context.
Just random numbers.
I am overwhelmed by production, so you made me aware, and we're very excited that we were approaching 50,000. And even though I am the one with access to the YouTube admin portal, and I upload and handle all of that, you informed me. That was news to me.
So to commemorate this incredible milestone for us, at least, which we probably won't do again until we hit about 1 million. We've decided to do a question and answer Q&A session, basically as a video. And so we gathered some of the questions that you have asked, and hopefully we can answer them. Hopefully Dan will want to answer them. And yeah, we hope you enjoy this video just as much as you enjoy our others. But thank you so much for following along. We are thrilled that we get to do this thing that we love doing for the most part. Right, Dan?
Yes. I do love doing it. I just have a stage 4 enthusiasm deficiency, and it might be fatal. So I am thankful, but sometimes my vocal cords cannot manufacture the sound of gratitude. But that doesn't mean I don't feel it. So you're sort of my happiness translator.
Yeah, I overcompensate for the both of us.
Well, you at least compensate, yeah.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, to be honest, we've talked about this previously. We would still be doing this even if we only had 100 subscribers, because we do really enjoy what we do. But it's just like an extra bonus that so many of you like to follow along with the episodes and the stories. And yeah, once again, it's just to say thank you.
Yeah, and here the honest, and not trying to be funny, is that I'm incredibly proud. I'm grateful that we're working together. I think that this is something to be proud of. I think that we're building a body of work that we'll leave behind. And if you're an artist, if you're a writer, a director, an actor, the good ones get into it to leave something behind. And the people who are looking to get rich and famous, I think that you can tell. So we would be doing this if we were getting 100 views per video, because we're both really proud.
Exactly, yeah. Like our videos if you like them. If you aren't already subscribed and you're just a lurker, make sure you subscribe. And comment on the videos. We don't get a ton of comments. Maybe it's because our content is just so perfect as it is. But maybe it's because we aren't giving that call to action. If you comment on the videos, we will probably answer them. I know that you and I are both in the comments at least a few days after we release the videos, and we kind of look and see if there's anything that we like to answer. We usually answer from, or sometimes I'll answer from my personal account, but you always answer from the Almost Certainly Not account as well. So if you have any thoughts on any of the episodes, we got some interesting ones on the Sandra, our very first episode. Kind of like some theories on what had potentially happened to Sandra. So yeah, if you have any thoughts about any of these things, if you have any questions, just go ahead and leave a comment. We will more than likely answer that comment. All right, 50,000. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Let's
everyone.
get into this Q&A. How long does it take to put an episode together from beginning to end?
There's not a single answer to this question. So I write the scripts. We do a recording session where we and since you co-produce, it's not just recording the scripts. We go back and forth and make changes, and you'll have ideas, and I'll rewrite in real time, which is
Mm-hmm.
always interesting. That's a couple hours or longer for me to do the scripts. Then I cut your audio. Then I have to start pulling in assets, footage, B-roll, music, cutting, mixing. Sometimes, and then also of late, it started to become that I want to have a unique style that matches the topic. Like The Man Who Died Twice is supposed to look like like a almost like a noir film in 4 by 3 from the 30s, and then Betty and Barney Hill sort of has the tone of a 50s B movie. If I have a really clear picture in my head before that begins, or before I start the cutting process, it can go sort of quick. But I think
Yeah.
Betty and Barney, from the time I finished the script and we recorded it to the time it was released, was probably 7 weeks. I finish what I think, or what I think of as the director's cut, which I send to you to review. You give me your notes, which I ignore. No, I'm kidding. I incorporate.
Sometimes I have a lot of notes, and then sometimes my notes are literally just like, I love this. Oh my God, this part right here is amazing. I love what you did with this. I feel like so often that's just my notes. Is like, oh my God. It
It
certainly
is.
was with Betty and Barney.
Maybe the thing that people who like don't do any like editing or whatever may not understand is I never get even the experience that you get. I'm a little envious of. I will never get to see these for the first time. And
Yeah.
I in the process of cutting, because I'm always like, I think of editing and writing as sort of like ironing a shirt, where
Mm-hmm.
you start in one section and then you go a little bit further, but you go back over the section you
That
just
is
ironed.
such a good analogy. Yeah.
But because of that, I'm constantly in a loop of watching it over and over and over again, to the point where, like, after 4 solid weeks of editing, I get to the point where I'm despondent and I think it's terrible. I just can't tell if it's good or not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you come in, because you've got some fresh eyes. And then so it can be 2 months probably from conception to release, or maybe even slightly longer.
How much input does Leyla get on the scripts? I don't get a lot of input, to be honest with you, because I am not a writer. I often refer to myself as a talking flesh puppet, because that's basically what I am. I'm an actress by trade, voiceover and on camera. So I've always been that person that someone gives me the words to say, and I say those words unless I'm improving. But that being said, if there is something that, and I mean, I'm so used to working with Dan and the way that he writes that it covers everything. So it's not something where I'm like, I think maybe we should add something in here or not. More often than not, if I do have input on the scripts, it will be on the way that we wrap things up. We're just kind of going into that like closing section of the script. I'll be like, I don't know, can we add a little something? Can we do it a little differently? But it's also the director who has the vision of what they're doing as well. And I'm not always privy to that vision. So sometimes I'll suggest something and then Dan will say, well, this is what I was thinking for this and this is why I did this. And then, I'm in agreement with it and it just goes along. So I don't get a ton of input on the script, but that's not necessarily like you not wanting me to have input, I think. I think it's more like it's just not that's not my wheelhouse, really.
I would say that I'll answer a slightly different version of the question, which is that you don't really get any input on the scripts, but you get input
Yeah.
on the recording.
Yeah. How do you balance historical accuracy with the cinematic feeling in the episodes? Will you sacrifice accuracy for entertainment?
I would say no. It depends on like what they mean by that, but I won't. I won't fictionalize. I may
Mm-hmm.
choose to um do what's typically done, even in sort of narrative documentary, where sometimes this is a difficult concept maybe for people who aren't in the creative arts or who aren't writers to understand, but sometimes you really don't have any choice for
Yeah.
tone or pacing but to compress things to make them kind of seem like they happened further apart or closer together. And it would take too long to explain why that's necessary. But I would say that um, I never make anything up. I source
Mm-hmm.
everything. I may
Well, and
leave
this is
out things that I may omit things that I think are not necessary to the version. We're telling a version of the story. Even though we're documentarians, I consider this to be cinema. So the
Mhm.
story is what's most important. It's not just it's not a PBS Frontline episode where we're recounting the events exactly as they happen with quotes and everything sourced and cited exactly because otherwise we'll get sued. These are films, and but I will say that I will never wholesale invent something, and I will also we not only tell the story but try to have a theme and a point. And I think that sometimes when people do that, if there's something that is included in the story that is detrimental to the point they feel like they want to make, they'll leave it out. They'll cherry
Yeah.
pick. And I don't do that either. I tell the totality of the story and then I try to make a point with that. So I would say that I don't sacrifice accuracy for entertainment, or I do my best to avoid it. If it happens, it's not intentional.
Dan is credited as the writer, co-producer, and director of Almost Certainly Not. So how does he balance work and life with all of those titles?
Pass.
What is the worst thing about working with Dan, in parentheticals, for whatever her name is?
I it is my question. I couldn't remember your name.
The worst thing about working with Dan. The thing is, when you've worked with someone for so long, which is another question, so I don't even want to get into it here, you kind of. And it's not even that we've worked together for so long. We've worked together for a short amount of time in comparison to how long we have known each other and spoken to each other. But I think I know you relatively well and you know me relatively well at this point, that how you are is just how you are. Like, I just know. Even if it's something that I don't agree with,
Yeah.
it's kind of just like, well, that's just Dan. I mean, you are never mean or rude or any of those things towards me. Like,
No, we have a very
not seriously. You know, we have fun and we kind of joke around with each other, and you joke about my tiny woman brain.
oh my god,
Um,
shut up.
but because I know you so well, I know that that is never coming from, it's always coming from a place of love. Like, I think we just know each other so well. We gel well together. If there's one thing that I kind of have to pick about this kind of endeavor, working with you, that's like a difficult thing to work with, I think it's you're just uncompromised. Like, you don't want to sort of compromise your principles, and sometimes that can be difficult for me, like saying you don't want to sell merch, like saying you don't want to do ads and things like that. Sometimes that's difficult for me to wrap my brain around just off the rip.
Yeah.
But if I sit with it and I think about it, I'm like, no, he's right. Like, it is a pure sort of thing, and we want to keep it pure. I think that's kind of what it is like sometimes I'll have a disagreement with something that you're saying and I'm just like, oh, and then I'll sort of sit with it for a minute and I'll be like, no, it's fine. It's not a big deal. You know, it's never like a deal breaker for me. It's never something that's really, really difficult. How is the music chosen?
I have as I'm cutting images, I have a library of music that I work with. And I have a general mostly I start with an idea of the kind of tone that I want and sort of isolate it to that what do I want? Do I want it to be more electronic? Do I want it to be piano? Sometimes I hear piano, sometimes I hear violin, sometimes I hear more folky or electronic. And so I kind of narrow and search for that kind or that style of music. And then I'll listen
Mm-hmm.
to them. And I would say that more often than not, I'll probably, it's fairly rare that my first choice, um, I sort of do what you do typically when you're cutting a film or something, where you do like a temp music track, just have something that's close, and then you end up doing the final one. So I will go through probably 3 or 4 different songs to see how they sound, but I typically start with what is the tone of this section and the transition into the next section, and what kind of tone do I want, and not necessarily the song. I mean, that said, like sometimes I have a very definitive song. Like there's a version of Habanera or from Carmen in the upcoming episode that's like an electronic interpretation of it that I definitively wanted to have in. And then in another episode there's a version of In the Hall of the Mountain King that I want to use. So sometimes before we even record, I know that there's a specific song that I want to use. But
You are also like very musically inclined, so I think that is really beneficial to us in this as well.
yeah, but I would say, in short, I have I hear in my head a style of music, but then it takes some time. I go through several choices and cut them in and mix them under your voiceover and set to the images, and then
Mm-hmm.
watch the section through before I finalize it.
How did you grow the channel so quickly? Did you do anything different?
I think what we're doing different is not including ads or calls to action or selling merchandise.
And that was something that we kind of discussed at the very beginning as well, too, was that we were just going to do these videos and post them and see what happens. And that was something actually that you specifically said would be different than what other people are doing. And that's what you wanted to do. Like the thumbnails are also something that's different. I mean, the thumbnails of our episodes are not super busy. And I know you've gone through like a couple of different iterations of what you want the thumbnails to be, but the thumbnails are very clean. We don't do like clickbaity titles. We've had discussions about titles a couple of times where I've been like, oh, I don't know if that makes sense, or I don't know if,
Yeah.
if that fits with that. But for the most part, the titles are not clickbaity. The thumbnails are super clean. We don't really advertise at all. I mean, if you would consider that different, that's basically what we said from word go. I mean, that was your kind of thing, was I want to do this differently. When we started, you said that to me, I want to do this differently. And so that's what we've done.
And so much is so samey on YouTube that I think doing something that is different is the way to stand out, not by trying to copy what's most successful. And I'm not interested in that. We do not make these with the audience in mind.
Mm-hmm.
We make these and
No
then
offense.
no, but I just think it can't go that way. I'm not driven by like because the alien abduction episode is doing so well. I'm not going to pivot. We're not going to start doing alien abduction episodes.
Yeah.
We the only criteria for an episode is, do we both find it interesting, and when it's cut together, do we feel like it's ready to go out? It's you and me,
Sometimes it's
and
not
that's it.
even if we both find it interesting, because I feel like sometimes you'll give me something and I'll be like, how is this going to work?
But I think when you trust me and I explain
Yeah,
it to you,
absolutely.
and then it ends up being, yeah, I have a rationale or a
Mm-hmm.
reasoning behind it. I will say, like, in more practical terms, I have very minimal social. I have a Threads account where I will post that these are out. I know that you have like Facebook and Instagram, and then
Mm-hmm.
we throw about $100 to $150 per episode at YouTube not Google ads, just YouTube promotions, where it'll pop up in people's feeds slightly more often,
Yeah.
which that is, as far as like promotion, is basically $0.
Yeah.
But we do that. I don't have any problem with advertising and marketing, but that's it. That's all we
That's
do.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you ever revisit or expand on a previous topic if new information emerged?
No. because
You
it
wouldn't at all?
no, because it would. I mean, if it was a whole um, like if I guess if well, I
What
guess
if it
it.
was like a correction? If it was something like, I think the person who was talking about this was specifically talking about the Sandra episode.
I would
Like
just
if she was found
I would just
or it was some sort of correction.
I would add a correction in the notes. I wouldn't do a video for that. Now, if Sandra Hughes is found alive and well, we could tell the story of what actually happened. That would be a full episode, but I wouldn't like
Mm-hmm.
her body being found is not a full episode.
Do you make any money from this so far?
No.
Sorry, I can't say that without laughing. Sorry, let me
No.
try again. Do you make any money from this so far?
No. It costs us money. This is costing us money at this point. So not
I
much.
mean, not that we wouldn't like to. We would love to make money from this. If someone knows how to make that happen, let us know.
Yeah, 50,000 subscribers and several 100,000 views does not translate to money. We don't have any patrons right now on Patreon, so no. But
Yeah.
I will. I mean, I can answer a slightly different version of the question. It's probably per episode, it's a couple $100, including
That
like
it costs.
that it costs assets and gear and subscriptions and promotion. It's probably, if you wanted to average that out, it's probably $300 to $400 per episode to produce, but we both work for free.
Mm-hmm.
So but in short, the answer to this question is no.
No. But we would love to. So if you want to throw some money at us. How do you handle disagreements?
Talking.
Yeah,
Moving on.
that's really it.
We speak about we have conversations like adults and come to some sort of an understanding.
Mm-hmm. That really is. It's as simple as that. What's it like working so closely with someone you've known for 20 years?
I think it's great because we have a lot of shorthands. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know my moods, which swing fairly wildly. So you have to. I think part of what you do as a producer is talk me off the ledge a lot and deal with. I can be a little moody. I can be slightly
We
moody.
both have our mental deficiencies.
Yeah,
What we call them deficiencies.
but I can get
Our
sort
mental
of
surprises.
despondent and think that I have thought at various times that an episode is awful and I would be embarrassed to release it, and you have to talk me off the ledge and convince me that
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing it from a different way, or I'm seeing
That
it
doesn't happen very often. It's not like you hate the episodes that we release.
I've hated it. Well, I've thought that I hated a couple, and you've had
Yeah.
to sort of talk me off the ledge on that. But I
Yeah.
think it's I'm we're free to be very direct with each other, but
Mm-hmm.
respectful. But we also have a I don't know. I can give you line readings. I can when I want you to because you're speaking right now in your your daily driver accent. This is how you talk, and then you have an announcer commercial accent,
I have
enunciation and accent,
different ways.
and then you do a very good sort of non-regional American accent. But then you can also go what I like to call full Mary Poppins. So if I want you to put the to turn the British up a little bit, I mean, I literally will just say like set Mary Poppins to 7.5, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to say anymore. And then you
I think
also
we're
know exactly when I say I want you to lean on something or be flatter. That's not only
Yeah.
that's not only our working relationship. You're a professional voiceover artist, and that's the nomenclature. But when I say, and I can get very, I think that this is the benefit of having, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I can say to you, I can't think of a good example, but it can be pretty esoteric direction where like I want
Mm-hmm.
you to give the feeling of this in this line, I want you to change your delivery to feel a very specific way, maybe even changing at the comma in the middle of the sentence, joining the clauses. And I think that's the benefit, is that we've worked together enough and know each other well enough that I will say that it's extraordinarily rare, even if it's very esoteric, expressing a feeling about how it should sound, that you'll say, I don't know what you mean. More often than
Mm-hmm.
not, even if it's pretty, like, yeah, really hyper specific and sort of almost metaphorical, you'll typically say, got it, and then
Yeah.
deliver the line basically the way that I hear it in my head.
And you've also said that sometimes you can hear my voice like in your head when you're writing, or like you because we know each other so well, how I sound and my inflections and the way that I read things, but it's kind of the same thing with me. Like I can hear your voice in my head as well
Yeah.
when I'm reading through these scripts. So I think that kind of lends itself to us landing somewhere in the middle where we're both happy with it in a more easy way, just because we know each other so well. Also, neither one of us is very easily offended, and we're both incredibly offensive
Yes.
with each
Accurate.
other.
Almost
So
inappropriate.
I think it yeah, I think it works in that way as well, because it's like you are a shall we say harsh sort of personality to work with.
It's
But
generous.
like I got over that 20 years ago,
Yeah.
so like it just doesn't affect me anymore.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll say something completely outlandish and you'll have a good laugh for a little while, but it's not something that you are unused to either. So I think it works really, really well. So yeah, I think it's to our benefit that we've known each other for 20 years, that we're working together, especially on something where we're not necessarily making money. We're just kind of doing it for the love of it. So either one of us at any point could just be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, it's we're both have the same. We're very passionate about it. We're very proud about it, and we relate to each other very well. So it makes it an easy working relationship, and that can go either way. It can always turn into kind of a Lennon and McCartney thing, where I think
Mm-hmm.
John Lennon and Paul McCartney fell in love. Like they weren't like creative partners who weren't friends, and sometimes when you are friends, it makes it harder, and it's almost like a breakup when
Yeah.
things go bad. But for us, it makes things easier.
What inspired the spin-off series Possibly Not?
I thought it would be cool to, because I am a student of film. I love film, and I not only watch the films that I love or films that I'm interested in, but because I'm obsessed with the production process, I will, if I mean, I haven't done this in a long time, but sometimes they just have them on YouTube that you can watch along with the movie. I like listening to writer, director, or production
Mm-hmm.
commentaries about the behind the scenes, and just to, it's a good way to get experience. And for anybody who wants to be a filmmaker, I mean, if you buy Goodfellas or Pulp Fiction or any or Apocalypse Now or even the original Star Wars, and you listen to the Scorsese or Tarantino or Lucas or Coppola director's commentary, where they go into the trials, tribulations, and the things that they had to do to accomplish it, I think that's a good sort of film school. Um,
Yeah.
so I thought that it would be cool to have basically like a commentary track about
Well,
their
and also
production.
one of my skills is hosting, and that was something you said at the beginning too, where you were like, basically it could be like you're interviewing me about these episodes, because obviously you do the lion's share of the work on these.
Which it
So it
changed.
would
There's
just be me interviewing.
Yeah, it's more back and forth, but like, and also like as a co-producer, like Possibly Not is you're in charge of Possibly Not. You host it,
Mm-hmm.
you guide. It's not interviewing me exactly, but it is a relief that like I might help with the bullet points, but I show up to like I don't, I show up to a Possibly Not recording, and you lead me through it from beginning to
Mm-hmm.
end, and so that's like Possibly Not is sort of your baby at this point.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's your show.
I don't edit it or do anything like that.
No, but like you introduce it, you get us from one bullet point to the next, and
Yeah. It's something
actually
where I can like shoulder the responsibility a little bit more.
it's actually very enjoyable to me because I don't have to, and it's also easy to cut. So like I don't have to. I literally like on possibly not recording days, I show up and you hold my hand through it, and I just talk. That's all I have to
Which
do is
is
talk.
literally what hosting is, if anyone was interested. What's one thing your audience would be surprised to learn about you both?
Well, I think because you're on the possibly not, and obviously I cut around any false starts, but you're such a professional that I think that you can be a little bit more insecure about your own performance than it
Oh, I am
sounds.
riddled with anxiety.
And and insecurity, and I think that they would be surprised how, and my directing style is if I don't like it, you'll hear about it. If it's good, I'll say that's fine, moving on. And I think sometimes you need a little bit more support from me, and sort of positive reinforcement, and like you'll
Oh yeah,
I will
fully.
just
I need the praise.
Yeah, I will just
I
not.
need it.
I'll let you go until I hear a problem, and you will stop and say, Was that? Do you like it? Was that good? Or you're not talking?" And I'm like, "Yeah, if it's bad, I'll let you know. Just keep going." And I'm having to. I think this is the most we've ever worked together, and I'm trying to get better at reinforcing to you, like you're not like begging for a hug or anything, but
Yeah.
you want to know if I like it. And in my head, I'm sort of like, well, yeah, I wrote it down, and you're reading the words, and you're delivering them the way I want, and so why would I interrupt
Mm-hmm.
you if I unless I don't like it? And I think that that makes you uncomfortable.
Oh, wildly.
But
Yes.
you
Wildly
sound,
uncomfortable.
I mean, obviously it's the finished product, but and they don't get to hear all of that unless it's in the directed voiceover sessions. But I think that it might surprise them how, especially with the possibly nots, how you second guess yourself, and I have to tell you, just be you. It's fine. It sounds good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think that that might surprise people.
I think in that same vein, something that would probably surprise people about you, especially since they only kind of know you from listening to the Possibly Nots, is that you feel things so deeply. And I think a lot of people listening would probably find you sort of callous. But like you are like so good with me. Like you were just talking about that. You are so good with me about when we actually give each other compliments, which is such a difficult thing for either one of us to do. I think we both can be quite sincere. And I think your sincerity and your sort of warmth is something that a lot of people will be surprised by. Do you record and edit in the same space or work remotely?
Remotely, we live in different
Yeah,
countries.
I honestly think if we recorded and edited in the same place, I think we would drive each other insane. I'm going to be honest with you because we are so different. What makes me comfortable and what makes you comfortable, I think, are two completely different things.
I disagree slightly, just from one perspective. Well, the edit thing is an odd question, because we don't edit. You don't edit. But
Mm-mm.
if we were in the same space, I think it would be actually great to be in like a recording studio to do the recordings in
I
the
think
same.
we would get less work done, honestly, because I think there would be more tangents.
Well, that's fine. I mean, if we had the money to do that, and we were in the same space, we could take an entire day to record an episode and not be rushed.
Yeah,
So that
that's
would be
true.
fine. So I would
I would
love
love to
that.
do that in the future, honestly. I would
Yeah.
really like to do that in the future. But as of right now, we genuinely live in different countries. What are each of your favorite words? Mine's
Mine's actually cunt, and I don't.
oh boy.
We're gonna get demonetized for both
I
of those.
know. I
Uh,
don't know if we can use this question.
yeah.
Any exciting stories coming up?
Yes, and you're gonna have to stay tuned to find out what they are. But very
Yeah.
exciting.
We do have some exciting stories coming. We've been toying with the idea of doing longer documentaries. We've been toying with the idea of doing more current stories as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot that's kind of in the works. Some we've even sort of been toying with the idea of some sort of investigative journalism going along with one of our stories.
Yeah, we have a lot
So
of
there's a lot of
ideas.
exciting things that we've kind of tossed around a lot of these things, but again, a lot of these things require us being either in the same place or requires us having some money behind it. But
I would
yeah,
say,
also if you have any ideas for stories, feel free to comment those as well. We may use them, we may not, but
yeah, definitely.
always open to ideas.
Yeah, but we have at least 6 months worth of are already like planned and discussed. We have 6 months worth of episodes.
Again, we just want to say thank you so much for getting us to 50,000 subscribers. We've now surpassed 50,000 subscribers. It is genuinely mind-blowing to both of us. We do love doing this, and we are so appreciative that you are all following along on this journey with us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I'm Leyla Lawrence.
And I'm Dan Lauer.
And this has been the 50,000 subscriber Q&A.